Watch this.
A congressional conversation as another government shutdown looms. At the center of it all, continued debate on ICE enforcement. Tonight, we're hearing from Congressman Mike Simpson. Ditching the artificial sweeteners for the real deal, sugar beet growers in Idaho want to send a message to Congress. The kids' school lunches should use homegrown sugar. It's a big week for kindergartners in the Gem State. Classrooms are celebrating 100 days of school this week, an accomplishment marked by walkers and gray hair.
60, 70, 80, 90.
And counting up to the big number. All right, let's start with some numbers. The deadline was today at noon for all Idaho agencies to submit what 1% and 2% budget cuts could look like. And as we followed earlier this week, JFAC co-chairs made the request as they weigh what to do, with Idaho's budget. So this is in addition to the already planned 3% cuts across all agencies that the governor did by executive order last year, and also included as a part of the request is the impact of the cuts to things like staffing and essential services. And our team is going through all the line items and explanations for the submissions. But what we have gone through so far, we can already find that there is a theme of concerns about what the impact of more cuts could be. For example, the Idaho Department of Correction wrote in their budget cut summary, it'll have to furlough all prison staff. The agency said that reduced staffing will have a far-reaching consequence from prisons to probation and parole, which will compromise safety, disrupt essential services, and increase Idaho's legal and financial risks. Prisons would be forced into modified secure status, they say, meaning most inmates will be locked in their cells or barracks all day without access to rehab programs, and IDOC says that would ultimately result in more long-term costs to the state. We saw the president in that VO as the state of Idaho is also weighing the impacts and costs of conforming to tax cuts in the president's One Big Beautiful Bill. So again, we got our hands on letters and budget reductions from all the agencies involved, including the Idaho State Police, the Board of Ed, and Idaho's Higher Education Institutes. We're going to dig through those and we'll have a deep dive over the next few days. As we previously reported, this comes after JFAC leader Josh Tanner criticized the governor's proposed budget, calling it a budget with gimmicks that he believes isn't workable. Little staff defended his budget presented during the State of the State this afternoon, telling me that they believe he presented a balanced budget that weighs long and short-term solutions. We will find out.
Aspartame, sucralose, these are all artificial sweeteners, chemical additives. They are finding their way into some products that are served in school lunches like yogurts and granola bars.
Prioritizing real sugar in Idaho school lunches, that's the aim of House Joint Memorial 10. We caught up with Samantha Parrott from the Snake River Sugar Beet Growers Association earlier this month, and she said it's a goal to get legislation about this issue through the State House. And in today's House Ag Committee, Parrott said that there could be artificial sweeteners in kids' lunches that parents don't even know are there.
School meals represent one of the largest food purchasing programs in the country, and Idaho has a strong interest in how those meals are sourced and prepared. As Representative Crane mentioned, real sugar comes from plants. It's a natural ingredient.
And Parrott clarified this bill doesn't regulate school districts, parents, or kids with dietary restrictions, and this would not apply to vending machines in schools, which often carry sodas and snacks that have artificial sweeteners. But they say this is about sending a message to Congress that kids' lunches should use real sugar. A New Plymouth farmer showed up in support of this bill.
There have been some reformulations over the years of trying to get sugar out of products and put artificial sweeteners in, and to make it taste good, the calorie count actually goes up once in a while. Our Sugar Association from DC has done some studies on that, and like I say, to make it taste good so people will still eat it, the calories go up. So sugar is all natural, sugar is important, and like I say, it's about our kids and grandkids.
Lawmakers sent it to the floor with a do-pass recommendation. Sticking with politics, still up in the air, but congressional lawmakers appear to have a tentative deal to avoid a full government shutdown. But timing issues, especially with specific votes in the United States House, mean that there's a real chance the government could briefly shut down partially if, as expected, nothing passes before a midnight deadline to end January. In short, a shutdown isn't guaranteed, but it's very much on the table. And a major part of that battle centers on the actions of ICE and immigration enforcement, battles over how and if it should be funded, namely actions, though, most recently in Minneapolis, Minnesota. This week on KTVB Viewpoint, I spoke with Idaho Congressman Mike Simpson for his perspective on the role and debates about the actions of ICE in Congress.
It's caused some consternation across the country, and I understand that. 2 people have died that were Americans. People don't like that. I don't like that. Nobody wants that to happen. I also don't want Americans to die at the hands of illegal aliens that are here, or children to be trafficked and sexually molested and that kind of stuff. And a lot of that happens, and that's who they're going after. And they're getting resistance from Minnesota. And that's a problem, but it's caused consternation in the country. I think Tom Homan was sent in to try to change the dialogue. I listened to his press conference, and he's met with a lot of people out there. He's still an enforcement guy and says we're going to enforce federal law, but I think there's maybe a better way to do it, so they're working on that.
What's the balance like for top voices in Congress, mostly obviously Republicans, where you support the overall mission of ICE, but have seen the videos, have seen the incidents, and it's objectively we've seen Republicans and Democrats talking out about the killing of Alex Preddy, where they say, okay, this can't happen here in the United States. This needs to be investigated. But 2 things can be true, where you can support the overall mission of ICE, but also criticize individual agents. What's that balance look like for you?
Well, that's kind of where I am. Nobody wants to see anybody die. I don't want to see any Americans die. I don't want to see any citizens die. I don't want to see agents die. I don't even want to see the people that we're picking up and trying to deport from this country die. We need to do it peacefully. It's hard to do when you have, I would say, agitators. There's a difference between protesters and agitators. What you see and what you've seen in Boise here and people marching with signs, everybody has a right to do that, and I'll defend that to the end. But we have paid agitators that are trying to create incidents with ICE so that they can video it and put it out and all that kind of stuff. When you've got them tracking ICE and telling people where ICE is going and that kind of stuff, and interfering with the law enforcement of trying to get bad people out of their communities, then you've got a problem. And that's what they're trying to solve. But it's a difficult situation. I understand why people are upset, but yet we still have a job to do, and that is enforce federal law.
Mm-hmm. Do you think the incident, I guess this would have been last weekend at this point, do you think that was a turning point or a conversation point in Congress, or is it something that maybe has been more focused on in the media as Congress is still figuring out higher level issues?
No, I think you've seen some members of Congress coming out and saying we got to change this. Some of them saying Kristi Noem's got to go. Some of them saying that President Trump's got to go. But it is a talking point in Congress, something that we've got to do. And as Tom Homan has said, if you don't like us enforcing the federal laws, then change the laws.
And we have the full conversation with the congressman this Sunday morning at 9 a.m. on Viewpoint. Now to the 411 on the 208. A change is coming for Idahoans who use SNAP benefits. Plus, the Capitol Bell is getting a glow up ahead of the America 250 celebration. But first, several Idaho businesses closed their doors today in support of a nationwide shutdown protesting ICE. This comes after the shootings and deaths of Alex Preddy and Renee Good. Today, a few hundred people held another rally at the state capitol. And while this rally was against ICE, we have heard and we know that they're expecting a rally showing support for ICE and enforcement policies tomorrow afternoon at the state capitol as well. A reminder for people who utilize SNAP benefits beginning February 15th, customers can no longer purchase candy or soda using those benefits. The Department of Health and Welfare says that this change intends to support the health and well-being of Idaho families. And the Idaho Liberty Bell is on its way to the Foundry in Pennsylvania for some much-needed repairs. Crews spent the afternoon removing the iconic bell from its place in front of the Idaho Capitol building. Officials say that the repairs will allow the bell to continue to ring strong for years to come. It's expected to be the centerpiece for Idaho's America 250 celebration. People were lined up early this morning for a final chance to see the bell and ring the bell before it was shipped off back east. When it does come back to Idaho, though, the Liberty Bell is going to tour across the Gem State before it is placed permanently back at the State House. We'll be right back. $100. It's an age, it's an amount, maybe the cost for a new pair of sneakers, but for kindergartners, $100. Well, it's a special day at Hidden Springs Elementary. It's a state of mind. And today, Miss Smith and her classroom, they celebrated the 100th day of school, and they dressed accordingly.
Maddie, parents are watching me. Oh, no. Hi, Grandma and Grandpa.
Well, every day of the school year, we keep track of how many days we've been in school using a calendar system, and we count up to the day that we've been in school every day. So then as we get closer to 100, we start talking about all the activities we can do around the number 100. So that's what we'll be doing today. We do a lot of activities with the number 100.
The wig, the glasses. I made this crown. Well, me and Connor go. Wait, are we going to Taekwondo today?
You can look there on the calendar. There's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50.
Me and Connor, I think, going to Taekwondo today, but
60, 70, 80, 90, and then we have 99 days up there. But today's the 100th day.
Yeah, it will connect with our math, and we just do 100 because it's a big milestone in the year. It's always fun every year to see what outfits they wear, how they dress up. It's just another way to make school more fun for the kids.
I've seen old people dress this way, but then I was this outfit. It looked like grandma stuff.
I bet it worked out, and my mom came up with quite an idea to draw all these lines on my face. She looked at costumes. She saw these pictures of people with costumes, and they had the lines.
We make necklaces with 100 Fruit Loops. We'll make 100-day monsters with 100 buttons on them.
Yeah, it's pretty special.
All my classmates are dressing up to be 100 years old. Yeah, I think that's all.
I mean, I've only been teaching kindergarten for a few years, but we try to celebrate it every year to make it just a fun event, something that we all look forward to. With $100? Can everyone think in their head? Can you show me your thinking, please? What would you do with $100?
Now we're 1 week out from the opening ceremony for the Milan Cortina Winter Olympics, and there are so many sports to look forward to. There's figure skating, bobsled, ski mountaineering, that's actually making its Olympic debut. And one sport that's gained popularity throughout the decades, curling. 24 years ago, the Winter Games were held in Utah. That's where John Miller showed us curling is not as seamless as the pros make it look. It's this week's 208 Redial.
It was slightly after I slipped on the funky Teflon slipper.
My mother has a pair of these, I think.
Stepped out on the Ogden ice sheet with a 42-pound rock in one hand and a broom in the other that I realized.
I have no idea what's going to happen when I get out there.
A fair assumption, my first shot at curling wouldn't go as smoothly as this, or this, or this.
Yeah, people end up in positions that they didn't intend.
Some don't even intend to be here at all.
And in fact, a few of them didn't realize that this was actually a sport that was on ice.
That was me. I actually thought it was a weightlifting class, curling.
Weber State instructor John Wilson says most of them stick around anyway.
What would you say the appeal of it is?
The appeal of curling is it's anybody can curl.
In theory, of course.
That was better.
Okay,
In curling, a stone's throw is supposed to be about 43 yards.
but it's only going like 12 feet.
That's all right.
The key, according to 13-year-old phenom Charles Taggart, is a smooth release.
What are you doing now?
Sweeping the stone so I can create friction on the ice.
Allowing your stone to spin or curl its way to this circle, ideally knocking out your opponents. For which your captain may exclaim,
Good rock.
and good reason to try curling for the thrill of slippery, if not the agony, of the feet. I'm John Miller on the ice and the road to Salt Lake.
Maybe you're trying to watch some of that chess on ice. Well, mixed doubles actually starts February 4th. That's actually right before the opening ceremony. And then the men's and women's competitions, they'll run through the 19th. And like we mentioned, the official opening ceremony is next Friday, and our Olympic coverage starts at 10 o'clock that morning, and you can watch a recap of the ceremony later that evening. Make sure you see it all here, only on 7.
Wow, Winter Olympics. Hard to believe that it's here considering we are having such a dry winter in southwest Idaho. 43 degrees right now in Boise. That is above average for this time of year as we close out the month of January. Twin Falls at 42, McCall at 36. Very gray out in the west central mountains right now. Sun Valley a little bit warmer, closer to 40 degrees right now. In the Treasure Valley, we'll dip into the 30s at about 9 p.m. tonight. It's going to be a very quiet evening. We're going to see those clouds stick around, and they will be very patchy and passing periodically through the weekend. Only looking at an overnight low of 32 in Boise, so not too frigid of a night or morning tomorrow to kick off the weekend. We do have high pressure dominating right now the western U.S. It is directing some Pacific moisture, I should say, up and over the region. So the precipitation is riding over the ridge. Washington and Oregon seeing some showers there, but us in southwest Idaho under that ridge are not seeing much precipitation. It's staying to the north of us. So northern Idaho seeing a little bit of that. But we have this high pressure that is going to continue to build all the way through Sunday. So our temperatures will continue to climb until then. We will also have a little bit of a temperature inversion until then. By Sunday evening into Monday, a dip in the jet stream comes into the picture as there's a low coming from near the Gulf of Alaska. It's not going to impact us much. It may just stop our inversion from developing, and it may drop our temperatures a few degrees, bring some more clouds back into the picture, but that's about it. It's not going to bring too much of a disturbance to where it's going to bring us showers, storms, anything like that. And then as that trough quickly moves off to the east, our high pressure builds again all the way through the end of next week. This is Saturday, February 7th that we're looking at, and that ridge of high pressure, keeping things very calm, mild, and stagnant, is still going to hold for the entire first week of February as far as we can see right now. Now, with that minor disturbance Sunday evening, you can see even the mountains will be slightly impacted. It will likely just drop temperatures a few degrees. So Sunday, upper 40s for Sun Valley, getting kind of close to the 50s there in the middle of winter. But then Monday, after that disturbance, we're getting pushed back to the mid 40s, still warmer than average this time of year. If you are going to the Winter Carnival in McCall this weekend and over the next several days, it's going to be warmer than what you're probably used to or what you may be expecting. Low 40s will be those afternoon high temperatures. Tomorrow, if you're heading out there, it is going to likely be a little bit patchy with the fog in the mornings. Hopefully that burns off. Afternoons look partly to mostly cloudy over the next few days. Same thing goes on Monday, where those temperatures do fall off very slightly, but it's not going to be much. Still going to leave things warmer than average for the first week of February and for Groundhog Day on Monday. So low 50s likely for Boise over the next couple days this weekend, then dipping to the upper 40s. Not much of a change to kick off the first work week of February. All right, let's check in on some traffic here. There is a bit of a slowdown on the highways right now, especially westbound, because there is a crash that happened along I-84 in between Locust Grove and Eagle Road. We can take a look at that now on some ACHD cameras. The traffic was completely blocked off earlier. Things are moving a little bit better now. They're letting cars through, so it's slow going, but not completely at a standstill. Avoid I-84 if you can right now.
Hey, coming up tonight, live MMA action returns to downtown Boise. You can catch it here on 7. Front Street Fights 34 takes over the Idaho Central Arena with a full fight card featuring local professionals and up-and-coming fighters from across Idaho and our region. Headlined tonight by a middleweight championship. John Poppy takes on Muhammad El Dwansi in the main event. You can watch it at 7 p.m. on KTVB Plus, streaming live and free. It is from the Idaho Central Arena in downtown, and you can catch KTVB Plus on all of those digital platforms you see there. All right, a very common comment that we got, and I was expecting this, so let's get to it here. Many of you had a version of the same question or comment. I'll just go with Paula's. Paula writes, does Mr. Simpson have proof that there are paid agitators? Talking about our interview with Congressman Simpson. I'm trying to circle back with his office, but what I can tell you from what I've heard from other leaders in a similar position is they are talking about not specific agitators, and this is their opinion, not mine, not specific agitators that are individuals being paid to go out there, but instead organizing groups that kind of put together these protests and organizing groups that put together different talking points. Again, you can disagree or agree with that type of grassroots activism or activism in general, but I will circle back specifically, and we did get into more context this Sunday morning on Viewpoint at 9 a.m. Doug in Boise writes, nice ditching of the tie, Joe. That was fast. Yes, I realized I was wearing the tie, and I got rid of it very quickly. All right, appreciate all the comments. We'll see you next week.
Continue with us and watch free now on the KTVB Plus app everywhere you stream.